All right. So in today's episode, just kind of want to talk a little bit about my next organized AI event. I'm really excited about it. It's called Problem Solved Live, and the whole premise is bringing in a business owner with a problem, unaware with how they're going to solve it, or maybe someone who's not super tech focused. And so one thing that I've learned is there's a lot of entrepreneurs who make great money, but their version of marketing and tech is, hey, I set up my website and I have a Google My Business, and I maybe run Facebook ads or something. There's nothing wrong with that, and it took me a long time to accept that that's some people's reality when it comes to business ownership. And there's people who have even less. They might not even have a website, or they don't even have ads running, etc., and they're still doing well. And in this case in point, there's in the event, I've signed up one business owner to get help, and they are a food truck entrepreneur. So he owns several food trucks and is just trying to use AI and workflows and automation and workflows to do some things around invoicing, booking for special events and things like that. So I'm really excited to have him come to the event and speak about his problem that he's looking to solve, and then having the group of selected devs come and solve the problem, a real world problem for a real company, business here in town that's doing well, that's not in the tech world. So they're used to only working with tech people, obviously. But there's like this huge opportunity for solving problems of non-technical people and being able to speak to them and give them things that just work. They don't want, and not everybody wants, the deep dive solution version. They want to be able to explain what's going on and get somebody to solve it. And so the beauty of doing it the way that I'm choosing to is I get a chance to solve the entire problem in the span of like 2 hours and 30 minutes. Now we'll see how that format works, because that's not a lot of time to solve a real problem, but it is enough time to get an MVP with a feature or two. And so the idea here is, just by crowdsourcing the dev work, I get a chance for other devs to see what gets submitted. I get a chance to have the business owner in real time choose what they like the best, not what they think they should like, not what a single hire creates, right? But essentially an MVP from several people, and they get to choose the one that speaks to them the most. And the beauty of that is, I think oftentimes people, they look to get hired. The business owner doesn't know who they're hiring, especially when it's outside of their realm of expertise. And a lot of these small companies, they don't have a CTO. They don't have their version of a tech person is the person who went and bought their domain on GoDaddy and hooked it up on the back end on the DNS or whatever. So they're using sites like Squarespace, and they're not. These are very out of the box solutions, and there's nothing wrong with that. Let me make sure that that's emphasized. There's nothing wrong with that. But there's this assumption that since they can't explain exactly what they want in technical terms, it's hard to work with them. Now, on some level that is true, but what I've learned is the more professional in your craft you are, the less you need from the individual in order to at least get them something that they might like. So the best of the best situation is hey, I didn't even really explain what I want here. You provided something, I like it, I want it. That's almost like mind reading at that point. And so what I'm trying to train the team at Organized AI to do is to be able to put together practical solutions with little to no real, technical know-how from the source. So the customer themselves doesn't have to have a full-blown, PRD available before you even get started building. That's your job. And being able to take on that responsibility of translating from layman's terms into technical terms and then building something that works is super valuable in my experience so far and what I've seen. It's like that's how you deserve the bounty that you'll get, is because it didn't require a whole bunch for you to get started. So that's pretty exciting for me. And I've kind of noticed this through BHT. So blue highlighted text kind of taught me the whole game there. But the game is, if I'm able to dumb it down and make it easy. The business owner has a lot of decisions that they're making on a daily basis. They don't want to, in my first case, they don't want to deal with attribution and conversion tracking and how that works in a detailed manner. They just want it to work. And this, in my opinion, is why Hyros was able to hit the nail on the head and win. And so while I was selling people on conversion tracking and data collection and, connecting your CRM and first party data and this and that, server side events, etc., trying to get around ad blockers and get around iOS updates and the whole 9 yards, it turned into that. And so the cool thing about it is, a lot of times I felt like I was excited and talking over their head, but it wasn't like in a negative way. It was just more like they literally just want it to work. They don't care. And the more in business I get, the more I realize, wow, people don't care. They just want the solution. And so there's nothing wrong with that. My job is to serve them still. Can I serve them still? And with Hyros, man, as an example, one client I worked with, I think that was last year, they had Hyros and they needed help with conversion tracking setup. And they had Hyros. It wasn't Hyros' fault, right? It was, hey, Jordan, come set this up for us. But they're keeping Hyros. So they bought Hyros, the tool, thinking it equaled a solution when the solution is setting it up correctly. However, Hyros and those guys, Alex Becker, they're so good at marketing and understanding what people really think they want that they were able to sell people the solution in the form of a piece of software that, if it's not implemented correctly, it's still useless. But the buyer of that software feels like they have a solution in hand, and that's all that matters. So in this case, I think Hyros is $5,000, maybe $2,500, I can't remember, but they're just paying that month after month after month and not even having it set up correctly and collecting data. But in their mind, they don't think about that part. They think about, hey, I bought the solution, this should work. So as soon as they clicked purchase, they were like, well, this means I have a solve for this. This is taken care of. Wipe my hands clean, I'm done. And that's the mentality. I'm not here to debate whether that's a good mentality or not. I'm here to provide that same aha moment in data collection to AI engineering and AI engineers. Because there's so many bright people that I've come across and have worked with because of the hackathons and because of the meetup, that now I'm like, oh, if I can identify, let's say 20 to 50 really, as they say, cracked engineers that can build things quickly and use AI tools and can build simple stuff like automations if needed, and even simpler stuff like BHT, they can just do data collection in a situation. We can install PostHog. We've got a PostHog meetup. Shout out to Clement for that. But the solution itself doesn't matter. People don't care about that, how we get to the solution and what we use to get to that solution. They care about how much it costs, and they care about how fast we can have a solve in place. And if I'm able to collapse those things and make it real, in an evening's worth of the business owner coming over to a nice office space, speaking to a group of people, and then, a couple hours later they have an MVP that it does exactly what they were hoping for. That's a winning combination. That's a winning situation. And even more importantly, it leads to a community where I can drop in and ask from a business owner. Let's say they can't meet live. I should be able to drop it in Slack or Discord or whatever. And then I have a team of people who will go create their projects, submit them, and have the business owner choose the one that they like the most. And that becomes a contract. It could become a contract, but at least it's a project, a one-time project. And you're getting paid, $1,000 or so, maybe more, for 2 or 3 hours worth of work is definitely worth it, man. And so being able to provide that to the community is really cool for me. It's a dream come true. And the idea that I wish at BHT I had the community, the space, and the vision to be able to say, hey, I'm going to have this workshop about conversion tracking. You guys come out, and if you want something solved, to let us know, and we do it immediately, and then charge you. There's a bounty on the line for those successful implementation, that type of thing. With data collection, that's kind of different, but you see what I'm getting at. It's your problem solved immediately live, and that's a really dope spot to be in, especially with custom solutions and a situation where a business owner has a million other things to be doing rather than trying to explain in technical terms what they want. Instead, they just say it the way they can, and they explain it to the best of their ability, and then we see if we're good enough to break that down and get it done. And obviously it's going to be extremely frustrating for a lot of people, but for those who can get it done and get it figured out, I think it'll be lucrative. But yeah, that's what I got cooking. I'm really excited about it, and that's going to be happening on the 17th. Hopefully I got a flyer on the screen for you and maybe a QR code, but if not, there'll be a link in the description, probably, maybe. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just making YouTube videos. But yeah, excuse me, should be fun.